I gotta give this shout out and talk about our good friends over at the Young Turks, because we have this video they posted back on February 8th, and it says Tim Pool makes the dumbest January 6th argument yet. Oh, this is just it feels so good to there's so much to bring up in terms of cultural politics and politics here that this exemplifies. I'm grateful to be a part of this story. For those that aren't familiar, just to go back to our previous segment, in January I had made the point that at the Capitol, many people were let in the building by the police, that there were no barricades, they'd been torn down, and people walked up, cops were fanning them in, doors were being opened for them. How could you charge someone with trespass if they were welcomed into a building? Certainly that makes no sense, right? And so taking that out of context, some Twitter guy takes a clip of it, the Young Turks, doing no research, run the clip of it while smack talking me, saying I'm wrong and saying really dumb, poor legal arguments like if there's broken glass on the ground, it's trespassing. I think Jenk may have said that, where they're like, I'm just going to walk over this broken glass and that means I'm allowed in. And it's like, it doesn't mean you're not allowed in. Broken glass is not a no trespassing sign. Like imagine going to a McDonald's and there's a broken window. It's like, I guess I can't come into McDonald's. Someone broke the window. No, that's not how it works. So they run this segment. And I am proud to say now that we have been absolutely vindicated, proven right. Judge issues the first outright acquittal of a defendant charged over the January 6th riot. We did just mention this in a previous segment, but here's the best part. I tweeted how it started, how it's going with that clip from the Young Turks, with the new article that comes out showing this guy's been acquitted. And I said, hey, Anna, I was right. And their response is Anna responded on Twitter as if the news didn't come out. She just repeated the exact same false premise on my argument while ignoring the fact that even her false premise. So I said the rioters are going to go to jail. The violent people go to jail. She's claiming that I'm saying the rioters themselves will be acquitted because there's no signs, which is a gross exaggeration of my point. But the guy was acquitted. This is what they do. So I think it's a really great example of what the culture war is. I make an observation based on a legal theory. We'll see what happens. I'm proven right. The Young Turks double down, ignore the facts, and just keep lying.
Well, it raises the philosophical question. If you've been insulted by the Young Turks, have you in fact been insulted? I think. But this is actually, the Young Turks are just the small version of this. This is happening everywhere. The other day, Ann Applebaum of the Washington Post, once a fine journalist, she used to be an actually good writer and journalist. She was approached by a freshman from the University of Chicago who said to her, well, how do you feel now about the fact that the Joe Biden laptop has turned out to be true? After it was kicked off Twitter, it was suppressed by the news. And she said, oh, that's a boring story. I don't care about that. So I thought, well, here's a story that really does implicate the president of the United States in influence peddling. And she's bored. She's bored by that.
She's bored. It's not interesting.
They shared bank accounts.
Yeah.
We've got more data from the laptop reportedly coming out soon. When she says it was a boring story, she's lying.
But,
and
bingo. Yeah.
Well,
it's boring because
Andrew,
it requires glucose to change your mind. Cognitive dissonance requires a lot of energy to override.
I don't know if you know this, but even though we know now that the information on the laptop is true and legitimate, it wasn't true back then.
Okay. Well, that explains it.
So I'm sorry. I'm sorry you were misinformed about this, but it wasn't true at the time.
Think about the historical record, right? So if you pull up stories from, October 2020, you will learn about Russian disinformation manipulating the United States. The story today now is that the laptop is true. There were opinion pieces, commentary, analysis, subsequent investigations, and this is the track record we get from these establishment crony shill press, be it Young Turks or otherwise. The Russiagate stories, they won awards for those things. All based off lies.
Pulitzers.
And now we know it's all fake.
Well, yeah, Walter Duranty won a Pulitzer for covering up the Holodomor.
So here's what I want you to imagine this. You look at a history book, and they have a timeline of the Donald Trump years. And it says, in 2016, Donald Trump colluded with Russia to do this. In 2017, Donald Trump was investigated for colluding with Russia. And then, under the premise that all of those stories are true, which make up the text of this history book, you then get to the year 2019, 2020, and it's like, well, we now know that all of the stuff was fake. So how do we go and rewrite the historical record that they fabricated? You know what I mean?
Right. Well, but just think about the old-fashioned idea of a reporter. Think about the guy with the hat, the snapping hat, and the press card. And I was a reporter. I was a small-town newspaper man, and you would hang around places just to see if anything suspicious was happening. So if the councilman walked into the sheriff's office, you immediately thought, What's going on there? What is happening here? So here they have a laptop that connects the president to his dishonest, influence peddling son. And it's like, I'm bored. What else is on TV? Is Netflix on? Because I don't want to.
I'd like to imagine there was a time where the laptop story would come out and every major news organization would be like, guys, get on this. We've got evidence of direct corruption involving a president.
Yep.
Instead, they were like, oh no. How do we lie to protect him?
Yeah. Well, in a weird way, Hunter's off limits. So people were absolutely vicious towards Trump's children. And what they often said is Trump's children are only successful because they had a rich dad. Well, look at Hunter Biden. He had a rich dad and he's very unsuccessful. And I'm not saying the man never dealt with struggle or hardship, but why is it that Trump's kids get their heat held to the fire on everything, and Biden's kid is a crackhead and you're not even allowed to discuss it?
You look at Don Jr., and he's like a prominent personality and well-adjusted figure and successful businessman. And then he's the bad one. He's the problem. Hunter Biden had to get his his teeth replaced because of his crack addiction. Look,
Parmesan cheese addiction.
Yeah. He was actually he was scooping up Parmesan cheese from the carpet.
So. Yeah,
he said that.
So.
I feel bad for the guy over there.
No, yeah, he's had a terrible life. Yeah, he actually has.
But my point is more so how the media treats them.
That's right.
They're like, Don Jr. needs to go to prison. And I'm like, Don Jr. didn't do anything. Hunter
Yeah.
Biden did things we can see, and they're like, oh, shut up.
I know. I'm going to do the most boring thing in the world and point out a double standard here between the left and the right. But just imagine Trump's kid with a crack pipe in their mouth being photographed. It would be the end. That would be it. That would be it.
I think Don Jr., he tweeted, if I did half the things that Hunter Biden did, I'd be in prison.
Yeah.
Well, there's no question
You'd
about
be
that.
in jail. His dad told him that.
And not only would he be in prison, but Donald would be in prison. That's the thing. The connection on this laptop is getting worse and worse. The stuff, China has a very clever strategy that I think they call, what do they call it? Hunting the elites or elite capture. Elite capture. That's what they call it. They obviously elite capture Joe Biden through his son. And, is that illegal? Probably not. But still.
I disagree. I think they elite captured Joe Biden through Joe Biden, and his son was the intermediary.
Well, there you go.
Which is why
that's fair. That's
Joe
fair.
Biden used Air Force 2 to fly his son to China for a private equity deal.
Hold on. When he was talking about the big guy, he could have been referring to someone else. There could be some other
been
really
Santa Claus.
influential
Could
politician.
have been Sonny Corleone.
The big guy could be Trump.
That's true. We don't know. Have we exhausted all of our resources in
anyone ask
investigating this yet?
Trump is a big guy.
Exactly.
Trump's
He is.
bigger than
He's
Biden than
small.
Joe.
Yeah.
That proves it.
Oh my gosh,
That's
you're
it.
right.
It's Trump.
It's funny how we have the grooming story now. Okay, groomer, and it's just fascinating. It's almost like the establishment press left is it's cause and effect is so obvious and predictable. You know exactly what they're going to say, how they're going to say it, when they're going to say it. You could write their articles for them before they write it, and then publish them to prove a point, but you'd be talking to nobody. You know, like I was mentioning with Anna and the Young Turks, even though an article comes out actually proving my point was correct, they act like it never happened.
Just to clarify, you were saying that some of the people that went to the January 6th event were just let in and should be not necessarily charged with trespass, but then they interpreted that as you were talking about the people that were breaking windows and stuff as well.
They were lying.
Okay, so that and they're doubling down on that misinterpretation.
Right.
Okay.
Misinterpretation, willful misinformation, because, I think it's fair to say perhaps that they're making it up, because if they actually watched anything I said, they would have known that I've always said that the January 6th rioters should go to prison. Even in the Daily Beast smear piece against me, they quoted me saying the January 6th rioters should be in prison. So for the Young Turks to pretend like I'm saying the opposite is ridiculous. But this is the point. When it comes to like the grooming story, when it comes to Hunter Biden laptop, we talk about double standards all the time. This is one of the reasons why I think it's kind of pointless to give them quotes or even interact with them, because you know exactly what they're going to do. They'll come out, they'll say, you are all fascists. Then you'll come out and be like, some of these people are groomers, and they'll go, they're making up fake definitions of words now to lie and smear us. And it's like,
but it's not even a fake definition. If you say you should be able to have private conversations with someone else's kid about sexuality and tell them don't tell your parents, you're grooming them. That's what that is.
And even worse on National Review, they're saying, well, we shouldn't say groom. It's not technically grooming. You think like they're calling a bill "Don't Say Gay" that has nothing to do with not saying gay. Can we not at least fight tough? Can we not at least play the game the way the game is played? I don't want to go dirty, but if they're going to use phrases that are catchy and actually turn people against things, why can't we? This is
exactly. And you know what? I don't think we should call them the National Review, because I cannot believe that article was reviewed before they published it. That's insane.
Or that anybody in the nation is still listening.
Right.
The funny thing I'm seeing now from a lot of people on the left on Facebook is they're arguing the bill in Florida. Someone posted a meme where it's like, in response to this bill, I'm going to stop talking to kids about traditional marriage and heterosexuality, and I'm not going to use gendered pronouns. And I'm like, you are now arguing that the actual position of the conservatives is the position they don't have. I'm confused. Like, you are the ones who created the narrative that it banned people talking about gay people when the conservatives never said that. It was just identity in general. And now it's like they're mad at themselves.
There is no
They're arguing
excuse
themselves.
to talk to somebody else's child in kindergarten about their sexuality. There's no excuse. When I was a kid, a cop used to come and visit you in school and say, if anybody does this, call the police. The policeman is your friend. He will come and take this bad guy away. Now they're actually saying that there are people on TV saying, I'm gay and now I can't talk to children about my personal life. How about
That's not even true.
Teach them math? How about that?
But also, am I supposed to cry for that person? Like, oh no.
Yeah, I know.
But it's not even true. You can still talk about your personal
Of
life.
course.
If they need to talk about personal life, they need a therapist.
To these children, right? Yeah.
Well, so I do want to jump to another story, but I'm just curious because when it comes to the media and the very obvious, predictable nature of the lies and the manipulations, I'm curious your thoughts, Andrew. My attitude's very much been just ignored at this point because the moral universes are so disparate. Like, there's not a single sane, rational human being of cognitive faculties who is going to agree that adults should have sexual conversations with children in secret. But there's the entirety of the Democratic establishment lying to maintain that.
Right.
What do you think the solution is here? That what do we do to?
I think you do have to speak up for the simple reason that people get afraid. They think that more people agree with them than do. And so I worked in Hollywood for a long time, and I would walk into a meeting, and somebody would come over to me and say, I saw you on Hannity last night. They whisper, I saw you on Hannity last night. And I would say, why are you whispering? We're in the right. Most people in the country agree with us. And the thing is, they can create an atmosphere of agreement and of being in the majority. That simply isn't the case. I mean, look at the fact what happened with Disney was this guy, Bob Chapek. He's a conservative. He wanted to take Disney out of the politics. A minority of his employees who are LGBTQ came and yelled at him, and he caved. Where was the majority?
Sounds like conservatives have a tendency towards cowardice.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, I was about to say, he sounds like a conservative.
I think humans
behavior,
tend towards cowardice.
Yeah, exactly.
Humans they tend towards cowardice when they're alone, when they think they're alone.
That's right. Yeah.
Big part of it is, like you said, speaking up so people know they're not alone.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you look at what happened to Papa John. I'm not surprised these CEOs are like, I'll do it. I'll do whatever you say.
Yep, absolutely. And that's the other thing. They're not going to get sued by angry conservatives.
Papa John did nothing wrong.
Yeah.
I love that
Nothing.
statement.
Yeah.
That's correct.
He was they'll lie and they'll cheat and they'll steal and they'll manipulate. But Papa John was on a phone call and he complained about racism.
Right.
He used the word he used a racial slur to complain about the slur and how someone else had used it and no one cared.
And we're in a situation now
and they
with
destroyed his life, his career.
YouTube
over it.
Censorship laws is like if you reference a book from the past that has a word in it that's now considered racist, you're essentially the algorithm treats it as if you're the ones making the racist comment, and that's dangerous for rhetoric, for society, for free speech. Same thing happened to John.
Yeah. And here's another thing conservatives do. They sit and defend YouTube and Facebook saying, well, they're independent companies, so they can do whatever they want. You don't want the government, making rules about them. Well, yeah, I do. No, actually, I do. The government is there. It was instituted among men to protect our God-given rights. The First Amendment protects those rights from the government, but the government actually, its job is to protect our free speech rights. When you have things like Google, which is controlling 90% of the information flow, Amazon, which is selling 90% of the new books, they can be regulated. They can be essentially regulated to make sure that everybody gets to speak.
Let's you want to?
Well, yeah, I just want to add this. It's kind of hilarious. We see this a lot with conservatives basically just accepting the left-wing framing. So what lefties will say is, you believe in free market capitalism. Doesn't that mean you think any big business should be able to do whatever they want to at any time? And conservatives go, I guess I do believe that, sir. And then they go off and they fail to achieve anything whenever they elect their leaders. But you look at the left, and they've been sitting there for years going, oh, no, it's a private business. They can do whatever they want. And then as soon as Elon Musk buys a significant share of Twitter, my goodness, we can't. These people are too powerful. We can't allow them to influence the public discourse with their money.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and we'll see you all there.